So we will continue with the similar format of yesterday. As and when the students send, I would share the file over here, and then the individual student would be asked to read out their treatment of the story, not treatment but the short story, and then Ranjan can have a feedback. Okay. So we begin with this was the image which was sent to all of you, and you could feel that there's a box, then there are two people around, and one of them is a lady for sure. Another one is also looks like a lady, but
could be a boy or a man also. Yeah, it depends on your take, the individual takes.
Yes, to have second person to figure it out. I was trying to. I said, had it been high resolution image, I would have zoomed in. But again, one thing is very clear about the lady, and the other one could be a mysterious person, man versus woman. So it could be a collaborative effort. And first is the Vatsala Saxena. So Vatsala, if you are around, please read out your story and switch on your video. Yeah, please.
Okay. Hello, sir.
Hi.
Okay, so the woman almost slips on a jutting rock while walking backwards, holding on to one end of a chest. Be careful, the man shouts. He's dressed similarly and holds on to the other end. The northern Iceland temperature is particularly unforgiving this morning. I'm sorry, the woman burst into tears. The man puts the chest down, asks her to do the same, and holds her by the shoulders. You have to leave now. There's a void around them, and his voice rings out. I will throw the chest in the sea. I will never ever open and see its contents. I will take our secret to my grave. The woman sobs louder and the man hugs her silently. Over her shoulder on a distant shore, he can see a fisherman eyeing them, or perhaps specifically her. She leaves. He watches her receding back until he is sure and opens the chest. His eyes widen and as he takes in the tiny fingers, tiny legs, relatively large head, tiny heartbeat. His face shows utter surprise and denial as he whispers, "Who?" He holds the baby, rapidly turning blue, in his arms. Surprisingly, it is still alive, but the heartbeat is faint. She could not bring herself to kill him. He talks to himself and laughs loudly, but it is a sad laugh, almost tinged with disbelief. He blows a puff of breath through the baby's lips. He has only revived the baby when he receives a solid punch. He turns behind and spots the fisherman. Both you and the parasite are going into the sea. He is inclined to call the fisherman crazy. There's a look of realization on his face. The fisherman is no longer a stranger. Sir, can you little bit scroll up? He keeps the baby in the chest and stands up in front of him, ready to defend him with his life. Why would you save it? It is from another man. The fisherman continues calling him names like gay, beta male, sissy, etc. The two men battle it out on the rock. He is of a larger build, but the other man is rabid. Several times he almost falls into the sea. Once he falls to the ground and the man attempts to grab the chest. He bites the man's hand and rises again. After a long and drawn-out punch fight, replete with martial arts sequences, the man finally knocks out the fisherman. By this time, his nose is bleeding and he suffers from angry red-brown bruises all over his face. As he hears the lusty cries of the infant, he suddenly snaps into the realization that this fisherman will not let his beloved live in peace, especially if he keeps a baby. He carries the fisherman bridal style and somehow folds his fragile frame into the chest. 1, 2, 3, a decisive push, and the trunk was in the water. Plop. A hollow, devastating sound. The water, like a hungry sea monster, immediately swallows it. He walks away at peace with the baby.
Okay, I'll just, I got a little confused. I'll just, just scroll down. I'll just have a quick. The woman almost steps on a jutting rock while walking backwards, holding on to one end of the chest. Yeah. Be careful, the man shouts. He's dressed similarly and holds on to the other end. The northern Iceland temperature is particularly unforgiving this morning. I'm sorry, the woman bursts into tears. The man pulls the chest down, asks her to do the same, and holds her by the shoulder. You have to leave now. There's a void around them, and his voice rings out. I will throw the chest into the sea. I'll never ever open and see its contents. I will take our secret to my grave. The woman sobs louder, and the man hugs her silently over her shoulder on a distant shore. He can see a fisherman eyeing them, or perhaps specifically she leaves. Acha, she leaves. He watches her stealing back until he's sure and opens the chest. His eyes widen as he takes in the tiny finger. Was he not aware of the contents of the box? He was just
No.
helping the woman, huh?
He didn't know.
He didn't know, so he was just helping the woman. His eyes widen as he takes in the tiny fingers, tiny legs, relatively large head, tiny heartbeat. His face shows utter surprise and denial as he says, "Who?" He holds the baby and rapidly turning blue in his arms. Surprisingly, it is still alive, but the heartbeat is faint. She could not bring herself to kill him. He talks to himself, laughs loudly, but is a sad laugh. Just scroll down a little, almost into disbelief. He blows a puff of breath through the baby's lips. He has only revived the baby when he receives a solid punch. He turns behind and spots the fisherman. Both you and the parasite are going to the sea. He is inclined to call the fisherman crazy. Both you and the parasite, it's the fisherman's dialogue, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
There's just one thing. Whenever you're writing dialogues, just put them inside inverted commas. So we know specifically it's a dialogue line. Okay?
Actually, sir, I had made it into italics, but I think the formatting got changed over here.
No, don't put it in italics.
Yeah.
Within inverted commas.
Okay.
You know what's inverted commas, na?
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm. So within inverted commas, both you and the parasite are going to the sea. He's inclined to call the fisherman crazy. There's a look of realization on his face. The fisherman is no stranger. He keeps the baby in the chest and stands up in front of him, ready to defend it with. Just scroll down, yeah. Scroll down a little. Naresh, yeah. His life.
This is also a dialogue, yes.
Why would you save it? अच्छा ये dialogue किसका है?
This is the fisherman.
It is from another man. The fisherman continues calling him like gay beta. The fisherman intervenes. Okay, he's a third person. Okay, yes. So is the fisherman trying to save the baby, or he's not trying to save the baby?
He wants that the baby should go into the sea because it may be his child, but it may not be.
Whose child? The fisherman's child, huh?
Yeah.
Now these things are not clear. That is why it's becoming a little confusing. Why would you save it? It is from another man. The fisherman continues calling him names like gay, beta males, etc. Two men start fighting. He's of larger build, but the other man is rabid. Several times he almost falls into the sea. Once he falls to the ground and the man attempts to grab the chest. He bites the man's hand and rises again. After a long and drawn-out punch replaced with martial arts sequences, the man finally knocks out the fisherman. By this time, his nose is bleeding and he suffers from angry red-brown bruises all over his face. As he hears the lusty cries of the infant, he suddenly snaps into realization that his fisherman will not let his beloved live in peace, especially if he keeps a baby. He carries the fisherman bridal style and somehow folds his fragile frame into the chest. 1, 2, 3, a decisive push and the trunk is in the water. Plop, a hollow, devastating sound. The water, like a hungry sea mouse, immediately swallows it. He walks away at peace with the baby. See, यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है? What I like about your piece is कि, it's a very concentrated piece of action. The plot time is minimum in the sense that it's on maybe 15 or 16 minutes. Yeah. When they bring the chest and till the last line, includes the fight, etc. So it's very, very concentrated, which is required of a piece, a short story especially. Okay, and you have very well described the action that we see. It's very, very visual. We can see the action in front of eyes unfolding. Okay, so technically the way you have written the language is good. There's no confusion. Just the dialogue should have come within inverted commas. So that is one input.
Yeah. But, sorry about that. The formatting got messed up.
Yeah. You don't have to be sorry. It's just a discussion. Okay. So there's only a little bit of confusion about the backstories. Okay, the backstories in the sense. Just scroll up again once. Yeah. कि यहाँ पे तुमने लिखे, first of all, we see a man and a woman, holding the chest, trying to drown the chest, and I'm sorry, the woman burst into tears. The man puts the chest down, asks her to do the same, and holds her by the shoulder. You have to leave now. There's a void around them, and his voice rings out. I will throw the chest into the sea. I will never ever open and see its contents. I will take our secret to my grave. ओके, तो यहाँ पे ये आदमी के साथ ये लड़की का रिलेशनशिप क्या है? Initially, I thought when you're reading out, I thought they were lovers.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Actually, they are, but
but suddenly, so that is what I felt. I'll take a cigarette too. So maybe it's a kind of an abortion, okay? And they want to hide the secret, and that is why they want to drown the baby in the chest. Okay. So that was the impression that I got. Suddenly, there's a crisis which happens. What is the crisis? The arrival of the fisherman. Okay. Now, why is this fisherman suddenly so concerned? The woman leaves, and after the woman leaves, why is the man opening the chest?
Sir, I'm sorry I didn't give that impression, but actually the fisherman is the ex-lover, and
how would the reader know that the fisherman is the ex-lover? Maybe the baby belongs to the fisherman. How would the reader or the audience know that? It's a short story, it's not a film. But
sir, I tried to leave the hints that he doesn't know what's in the chest. He even asked that who is the father, and then later he thinks that the fisherman is not a stranger, so he realizes that he is the ex-lover.
No, you're assuming too much on the part of the reader. Okay, na? First of all, the baby belongs to the fisherman. Okay, so was she having an affair with the fisherman till a couple of weeks ago or till a couple of months ago? Okay, now after she conceives she fell in love with this man whom you see for the first time in the first paragraph. Okay, and now the second lover takes it upon himself the responsibility of disposing of the body, of course, along with the help of the girl. Okay, so यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा confusion हो जा रहा है कि he is trying to throw the body of she thinks it's a dead child, a child which was conceived by her from her first lover.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the first lover happens to be there. That I find a very a coincidence which is very, very unbelievable. If they're trying to dispose of a dead child, they will be trying to do it in such a manner, in such a secret manner, that there wouldn't be any scope of a third person around. Specifically, there could be accidentally a third banda aa hi sakta hai, a stranger. But a stranger turns out to be the first lover of the girl, and he also happens to be the father of the child. That is stretching things a little too far. Yes. You follow? You're taking too much of. There's too much of coincidence happening. Until unless there's some indication of this fisherman has been following the couple for quite some time. So you could have had a small scene before this, and then the fisherman inside a car driving the car sees another car. The couple steps out of that car carrying a huge chest, moves towards the sea. They're trying to dispose it off. Okay, and they could have disposed it off together. If the girl is heartless enough to dispose of a live baby who's still not dead, okay, then why does she go away? So I find the plot very convenient. We use the word convenient. We say it convenient plotting. मतलब ये जबरदस्ती का plotting है. मतलब तुम एक कहानी बोलना चाहते हो तो जबरदस्ती तुम क्या कर रहे हो? तुम जबरदस्ती कुछ certain incidents तुम घुसा रहे हो. जानबूझ के you're inserting certain incidents in order to move the plot forward. I don't find the plot convincing at all. Okay, the woman till this point of time, like I wouldn't say cold-blooded. Maybe abortions or a stillborn child. Abortions are illegal in a lot of countries. Okay, and I thought it was a stillborn child. In that case, why will they dispose of? Why can't they give it a proper burial? This is number one. Number two. In order to dispose of a child, why do they need such a huge box, huge chest? Isn't it unbelievable?
Yes, somewhat unbelievable.
Because this chest itna bada hai, it can hold the body of an adult person, not a child. For a child who is not even 3 months or 4 months old, okay, supposedly dead, you don't need such a big box and 2 people carrying that box like that. You can throw that small child anywhere in the jungle, anywhere beside the highway, or buried under the earth. So तुम्हारा जो plot जो है, though it is well written, though it is very very visual, the action, the way you have written is very good. Technically, it is very good. Okay, but in terms of the story, I don't find it convincing at all.
Sir, can I ask you a question?
हाँ बोलो.
Sir, actually, I had a doubt that how much should I leave open to interpretation and what are the things that I have to actually make very clear? How do I keep it in mind for the future?
There's no one way of going about it. Number one. Number two, there's a very famous French filmmaker called Robert Bresson, जिसने एक अच्छा चीज बोला था बहुत दिन पहले कि don't reveal everything to the audience, hide certain things from the audience, but hide it in such a manner so that the audience finds out, because the audience loves to find out things for himself. But for that, the filmmaker needs to hide it in a manner कि audience को मिल जाए. ठीक है ना. तो ये तुम कैसे करोगे, इसका कोई फॉर्मूला, इसका कोई अप्रोच नहीं है. इट कम्स विद प्रैक्टिस. It comes with practice. You know, I did not explain this. The audience can assume it. Sometimes the audience may not be able to assume it. Okay, so it's a very fine balance. I don't have an immediate answer for this because there is no definite answer.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
But I find it very coincidental that the fisherman happened to be there, and it happened to be the fisherman's son.
Yeah.
Okay, and the girl leaves also. If the girl could have brought the chest so far, she could have been there throughout, throwing the chest of the rocks. Okay,
Yeah.
so I find it, the entire plot, I find it very very forced. You know, and if a plot is forced, the story becomes lacks conviction and becomes unbelievable.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I think I have to make some changes to this. Maybe
Yeah,
the
yeah.
scene, like you said.
And yeah, maybe that scene, the car has been following them from a distance for quite some time. Okay, and then these people move out. And again, yeah, the good thing is the child is saved, and they're killing the fisherman. I mean, the fisherman also wanted the child to be dead. Why does the fisherman want the child to be dead? Because the girl is no longer in a relationship with him. The girl is in a relationship with somebody else. Okay.
I haven't mentioned this, but actually he had pressurized the girl to get rid of the child in the first place. So I didn't mention this thing.
Nice. Again, you are asking too much from the audience. Huh?
Yeah.
These are very vital information that you're telling me now. Okay, but me as a reader, I as a reader or a viewer, how can I assume so much of backstory?
Right. I'll take care of it next time.
Another thing is key, when you write professionally later as a screenplay writer or a story writer, okay, so you'll be taught that the first draft is not the final draft. It goes to several drafts. But for this FTI exam, the first draft has to be the final draft. Okay, you have a certain limited amount of time. Within that, you have to be very very alert. जो भी तुम लिख रहे हो, ठीक है ना, has to make sense. You know, so that's very important. Okay, and it's a big chest. That also, I mean, big chest can carry a big adult, an adult, not a baby.
Right. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
So next lady is Prangya Parimita Pradhan.
Pradhan. Okay.
Okay. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Actually, नीचे थोड़ा network का problem है. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Come.
The title of the story is The Mysterious Box. Just like last few days, a couple was waiting for the boat to come. When the boat comes, the immediate passengers snatch their money and other valuable stuff. But today it's going to dark and also clouds on the sky. Still there is no sight of the boat. Suddenly they saw something floating towards the shore. When they came closer, they saw a large box. After a struggle, they succeed to pull it out. Though it was too heavy, both were thinking what contents inside the box. Both were thinking who is going to grab first. When one of them was trying to open it, another one said, whatever is inside will be shared into 50-50. But in reality, they didn't think that it could be anything else. When they opened it, it was full of diamonds, gold coins, jewelry. Also, there was a small, beautiful box inside. Both think it might be the most precious thing. And they started to fight to get that in between. That small box broke. When they were blaming each other, a small storm appeared from the broken pieces and turned into a big storm. Meanwhile, they understand anything that storm swallowed them inside. Far
Just a
from the
minute,
shore,
wait, just a moment. Let me go through the line. When they were blaming each other, a small storm appeared from that broken pieces
and
and
turned into a
turned
big storm.
into a big storm. Meanwhile, they understood anything that storm swallowed them inside. इसका मतलब क्या है? I couldn't follow the line. Last two lines का मतलब क्या है?
जब वो छोटा सा बॉक्स टूट जाता है,
हाँ हाँ
वो एक दूसरे को कहते तेरे वजह से टूटा, तेरे वजह से ये हुआ, तो
Okay.
उसके इन बिटवीन एक स्टॉर्म, वो जो लार्ज पीस, छोटे छोटे पीसेस था, वो एक इकट्ठे होकर एक स्टॉर्म बन जाता है, जैसे टॉर्नेडो।
अच्छा, वहां से वो ब्रोकन पीसेस से वो स्ट्रॉन्ग बन जाता है क्या? अच्छा,
हाँ जी, हाँ जी, हाँ जी।
ओके ओके, अच्छा
मीनवाइल दे अंडरस्टैंड एनीथिंग, द स्टॉर्म swallowed them inside.
अच्छा, वो स्टॉर्म जो है इन दोनों को swallow कर लेता है।
हाँ जी।
अच्छा, ओके।
Far from the shore, there was a man who was watching all this, came to the place. He was looking around suspiciously, like nothing happened there. When he was looking around, he found a gold coin. He surprised at first, wait for a while, then threw it into the sea. Now the sky is clear and full of stars, and he went on his way.
Okay. I think the connections. Naresh.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I just like a few weeks, just like last few weeks, the couple is waiting for the boat to come. When the boat comes, they intimidate passengers, snatch their money and other valuable stuff. But today it's going to be dark and also clouds on the sky. Still, there is no sight of the boat. Suddenly, they saw something floating. Acha, so you're talking about a couple who are like antisocials, isn't it?
Yes,
They wait for boats to arrive every day, for just as it has been happening last couple of weeks. And whenever a boat arrives, passengers step out of the boat, they rob the passengers. So they are basically antisocial people. Okay. Acha. Now today what happens? Something strange happens. They come across. Instead of a boat. What they come across is a chest which is full of diamonds, gold coins, etc. And you have already established them as bad people. Okay. So they declare कि हम लोग 50% share करेंगे, and then we see what happens. If there's a small box, and they start to fight. They start a fight to get it. The box breaks, and they start blaming each other. And suddenly, from inside those, from inside the box, from those chota pieces, a storm gathers up and swallows them. Okay, so this is something. So you've taken a creative liberty. It is no longer. It's almost like a kind of a. I will not say fairy tale. I mean, it's no longer realism. It goes beyond realism. And from the show, there's a man who watches all this. Who has been watching all this. He comes to the place. He looks around suspiciously, as if like nothing happened there. When he's looking around, he finds a gold coin. Again, you have to write it in present tense. He's surprised at first, waits for a while, then picks up the gold coin and throws it into the sea. Now the sky is clear and full of stars, and he goes on his way. So basically, there's a solid message that you're trying to convey. You're trying to convey your story is about greed, isn't it? Basically, that is what I gathered. Your story is about greed, and how greed, too much of greed, too much of kind of antisocial activities that leads to greed, can swallow up a person. It's almost like a metaphor. It's not realistically happening. It's like a metaphor. And compared to these two bad men, we have this this innocent man. Okay, there's a man who's watching watching, and he comes and he does not even he does not become greedy even for that small gold coin. He throws it into the sea and he walks away. Everything is peaceful.
Actually, वो जो far from the shore, a man was watching. Actually, when he found the gold coin, at first he think maybe I could keep it, but later on he realizes that क्या हुआ सब ये सब.
Exactly. So he has learned his lesson because he has been observing the entire episode from a distance. Okay.
और पहले जो
हाँ.
क्लाउडी स्काई था, नाउ स्काई इज फुल ऑफ स्टार्स.
हाँ हाँ हाँ.
एक्चुअली सर एक उड़िया में एक बहुत बड़े राइटर थे गोपाल चंद्र प्रहराज, उनके
अच्छा
कहानी थी, तो उससे इंस्पायर है कह सकता हूँ.
अच्छा अच्छा. ओके. ठीक है. तुम्हारा स्टोरी का जो एसेंस है और तुम्हारा स्टोरी का जो पॉइंट दैट यू आर ट्राइंग टू मेक, द मेन थीम, दैट इज अंडरस्टैंडेबल. Okay, and it is also very visual. I have no issues with that, and it's very short. I think it's less than 500 words. Na? How many words are there?
500.
500 exactly. Acha. Okay.
This is not 500. This is less.
400 होगा, ऐसा कुछ होगा.
Trust me, I didn't check it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fine. Parinita Pradhan, at least you have attempted something, and that is more important because out of 25 people, rest are sleeping or relaxing, thinking.
Aja, out of 25 people, these are the only few students, huh, who have written.
Eight people who have written. So
Acha,
rest are
okay,
on the weekend mode. So
नहीं अच्छा है. प्रांग्या ये अच्छा है.
Yeah. So lesson, please carry on. Open your video and start.
Good evening. Am I audible?
Lesson, first thing you should need to do in the future is that please place yourself in a place where your sound will not reverberate. It looks like you are a sound recording student and trying to experiment with your sound.
So is it clear now?
It is better. I will not say clear, but it is better. Is a reverberation too much?
Yeah, my earphones are having complaints. I will look on to it.
Okay. So buy the Schneider one. That is better. They are waiting for people like you. Okay, carry on.
Okay.
Okay. So the name of my story is The Box. Morning blaze hit the sea. Fred brought Elisa fishing in the sea. After their father's death, Elisa and Fred looked after their mother and paid the loan of their boat. Suddenly, Elisa screamed for Fred. Fred came and saw a box floating on the water, a blood-stained box. Fred began to lift it, but Elisa warned him not to as a sign of danger. Fred didn't listen to her and took the box. He then opened to see a rotten body of a man lying inside. Fred decided to hand it over to the police. But then he saw something shining on the body, his right hand, and was shocked to see a ruby. He planned to take the box home. Elisa again warned him. Fred brought the boat near to the port, and they loaded the box to their car. Fred saw someone was following them, but he didn't mind it. He reached their house. He went to the garden shed with the box. He told Elisa to pick up the toolbox inside their house and also warned her not to utter a word to mother. Fred locked the door and went to open the box. Just then, the door knocked and he went to open, and then someone sprayed chloroform on his face and he became unconscious. Fred opened his eyes and so his mother, and his sister all were tied up by a masked guy. He unloaded the body and opened a hidden layer and took a sealed pack of gold bars from the box. He looked at the man. He looked at the. So the words became together. So 1 minute. He looked them and unmasked himself. They became scared upon seeing him. He holds the same face that of the dead body. He told them that they were twins and also smugglers. Once they found out a box with fruits while smuggling goods, they found a ruby inside a fruit. He examined further and found 24 gold bars. Just when the police arrived to acquire them all by himself, he killed his brother, kept him inside along with the ruby, and threw the box into the sea, and then he escaped. He then thanked them, took his revolver, wished them farewell, and went to shoot them, and then a knock came on the door, and when he turned around, Fred pushed him and fought with him, knocking down his revolver. Elisa shouted to the person outside to call the police. The smuggler then took the box, leaving the body, and ran away. The police caught him from the port with 23 pieces of gold bar and a ruby. Later that day, Fred started to unpack the gold bar left by the smuggler, only to find that it was a soap in the shape of a gold. He got angry and threw it into the sea. The soap bar began to melt. FM radio nearby saying that the police recovered a body, a ruby, and 23 rubies inside the soap bars. The soap bar completely melted and a ruby was floating on the sea. Portion of the sea turned red by the ruby.
Okay. Too many things happening. Okay, let's see what are the things happening. I got carried away by the flow of events. Okay, so there's a brother and sister, Fred and Eliza. They were fishing the sea in the boat when they discovered this box. Okay, bloodstained box. The Fred began to lift it. Sister बोलती ऐसा मत कर. Okay, and then Fred does not listen to her and takes the box. Please again try to write it in the present tense. He then opens to see a rotten body of a man lying inside. Fred decides to hand it over to the police, but then he sees something shining on the body's right hand and was shocked to see that it was a ruby, a stone. Body's right hand. Okay, he plans to take the box home. Elisa again warns her. Fred brings the boat near the port and they load it into the car. Fred sees someone following them, but he did not mind. He reached their house. He went to the garden shed with the box. He told Elisa to pick up the toolbox inside their house and also warned her not to utter a word to mother. Fred locks the door and was about to open the box. Just then the door, there's a knock, and he went to and opened, and then some straight to found. अच्छा यहाँ पे toolbox क्यों मांग रहा है Fred? Why does he ask for the toolbox?
Sir, to inspect the box, to open the box and for the
But they
inspection.
had, but they have already opened the box in the boat.
No, to examine it further, sir. Examine it further.
Examine it further.
Is it an operation happening over there? The toolbox.
नहीं
Once you open the big box, why the toolbox is required?
They have already opened it and they've seen a dead body inside, and then they've seen a ruby inside. What else is there to examine? I mean,
sir, to further examine, sir, if there is something that might be valuable, if they might get it. So examine it further inside. So opening the tool box, that like that, sir. So that's the imagination I just brought into it.
Like you need a toolbox only when you can't open the box. When you already open the box, you actually don't need a toolbox. Okay, and whoever has put a dead body inside, you would be very particular in locking the door, locking the chest in such a manner that it cannot be opened by us. Only then you need a toolbox. But they're very conveniently, आराम से, बहुत आराम से, प्यार से वो लोग, they had already opened the chest. Anyway, Fred opens his eyes and he sees as a chloroform के बाद, he becomes unconscious. Fred opens his eyes and saw that his mother and sister all tied up by a masked guy. The masked guy unloads the body and opens a hidden layer and takes a sealed pack of gold bars from the box. Okay, he looks at them and unmasks himself. They become scared upon seeing him. He holds the same face of the dead body. He now tells them that they were twins and also smugglers. Once they found a box with fruits, while smuggling goods, they found a ruby inside the fruit. He examined further and found 24 gold bars. Okay, and just when the police arrived to acquire them all by himself, he killed his brother, kept him inside along with the ruby, and threw the box into the sea, and then he escaped. Now again यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा मुझे यहाँ पे देखो again यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा convenient plotting लग रहा है. When I was speaking to the student, the first student, कि convenient plotting is plotting. We use the term convenient plotting. जहाँ पे तुम जबरदस्ती, if there are two brothers who are also smugglers, okay, suddenly the one brother kills the other brother out of greed because he wants to have it all. Okay, and he does it at a point. When the police are there. So when the police are already approaching and the police is already there, how can he do so many things? What are the things that you have made him do? He kills the brother, keeps him inside that box with a ruby, and throws the box into the sea, and then he escapes. There's so many things happening. When it is happening, when the police are almost there or the police is approaching. I mean, the entire action तुमने अभी बोला, it will take a lot of time. Killing somebody तो चलो मार दिया तुमने, मार के तुमने body डाल के तुम chest close करो, फिर ये फेंक रहे हो. Okay, then he escapes. He then thanks them, takes the revolver, wishes them farewell, and goes to shoot them. And just at that point, just about when he's about to shoot them again. This is a very the coincidence which is become almost like a cliche in cinema. There's a knock which comes on the door, and when he turns around, Fred pushes him and fights him, knocking down his revolver. Fred is tied now. How can he fight with a man holding a revolver? We can't hear you. Just unmute yourself. Listen, just unmute yourself. Yeah.
I'm sorry, sir. Sir, he jumped to the person, sir, with the chair, sir, tight chair. He just jumped and he knocked down his revolver, and then the other Elisa just shouted for the other person to call the police, and the drama went over there, and he ran away with the box.
Just a moment. So okay, chalo, he's still tied to the his hands and his body is tied to the chair, but he does this. Okay, he pushes the man. So the smuggler, turns around. Fred pushes him and fights him, knocking down his revolver. Alicia shouts to the person outside to call the police. The smuggler then takes the box, leaving the body, and runs away. Okay, the police catches it. Who's this person who knocked from outside?
So I have not went too much into that character, sir.
That is what I am telling you. This is a forced, convenient plotting. Suddenly there's somebody, you imagine a character, out of the blue. Why do you imagine a character out of the blue? So that this guy's mind is diverted for a while, and the brother can throw him off balance, okay, and save himself. So again, it's a forced plotting. It doesn't look convincing. We call it convenient plotting. Okay, so and you're not announcing. Even if there's somebody, a neighbor who comes, police ko bulao, please call the police. Okay, the police caught him. The smuggler then takes the box, leaves the body, and runs away. Leaving the body and runs away. The smuggler then takes the box, leaves the body, and runs away. Before he runs away, he'll kill all of them. He'll definitely kill all of them because he was just about to kill them. How come he has a change of mind? Why is he not killing them? Okay, chalo, thodi der ke liye he got distracted by the knocking on the door by somebody whom you are not disclosing. But when he's running away, he should kill all these three people. Na? This is not explained. The police catches him from the port with 23 pieces of gold bar and a ruby. Later that day, Fred starts to unpack the gold bar left by the smuggler, only to find that it was soap in the shape of a gold. He gets angry and throws it into the sea. The soap bar begins to melt. FM radio nearby says that the police has recovered a body, a ruby and 23 rubies inside the soap bars. The soap bar completely melted and ruby was floating in the sea. Portion of the sea turns red by the ruby. Again, you have tried to write an adventure story, okay? But in order to do that, or trying to write an adventure story, what you have done, you have packed in a lot of events which are not convincing at all. Suddenly somebody comes, suddenly this is happening, suddenly that is happening, suddenly a stranger knocks at the door, we do not know whom. Police ko bulao, call the police. And this man, gets distracted and he doesn't shoot these guys when they're still tied, okay, and he runs away, and he's caught by the police. So easily, how can he be so easily caught by the police? Whoever was a stranger who knocked at the door, he has to inform the cops. The cops have to come. By that time, our man would have fled. Okay, so तुमने क्या किया? तुमने प्लॉट जो है तुम्हारा जबरदस्ती प्लॉटिंग किया, ठीक है, और ये उसलिए कन्विंसिंग नहीं लग रहा है. Because this is a difficult situation. Of course, the picture is such that it arouses in your mind adventure stories, adventure ideas. But adventure ideas are very difficult in terms of plotting. They're very difficult to conceive. Actually, it's comparatively easier to conceive a story which is drama. Okay. But it's not convincing at all. That is what I'm going to say. But of course, the way you have written it is very visual. You can almost see but again, you should have written it in the present tense, not in the past tense. Okay? Your yesterday's story was better. You wrote about the woman now who comes to Bombay with the child.
Yes, sir.
Is that so? Yeah, that was better. But
he has gone from Bollywood to Hollywood.
Bollywood to Hollywood. फिर भी वहां पे भी प्रॉब्लम था कि बम्बई में आके बहुत आसानी से उसको घर मिल जाता है एंड ऑल दैट. स्ट्रगल भी बहुत प्यार से होता है, ऐसा नहीं होता है रियल लाइफ, बट स्टिल. ओके, चलो अभी शशांक झा आ जाओ.
Yes, sir. Can I read?
Yeah.
Show your face also.
Okay. Yes, sir. Can you see?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the story का नाम था Freedom.
Okay.
It starts like, do you think he escaped? Anna asked as she studied the large wooden box on the flat top of the cliff. Don't think so. The lock is intact. So much for his magical powers. Mark replied as he surveyed the locks on the box. Only 2 days ago, they had been summoned by the prison department to help them reclaim the box from the choppy sea. Their experience in the rescue department would come in handy, or so they thought. Mark and Anna agreed, more from an impending sense of adventure than anything else. Rasko paced in the limited space of his cell. This is past. He hated his confinement. A man had made fun of his magical powers in a downtown bar. And in a fit of rage, he had hit him on the face. The man slipped and crashed against the wall. He was dead in a flash. Rasko ended up in jail. He was waiting eagerly for his meeting with the jail superintendent. He faced a gruffy old man soon. Set me free. I was not born to be confined, Rasko explained patiently. The superintendent smiled derisively. You are someone with magical powers, I am told. Why not free yourself from this jail? My powers come to me from the sky. I want open space. Why not show us your powers? I have an offer for you. Rasko looked at the gruffy old man. We will lock you into a wooden box and drop you in the sea. Free yourself from the box, and if you are a free man, if my men rescue you 5 minutes after you hit the waters, you land back into this filthy prison. It would be great entertainment for the town. You would be the most famous man in town. Deal? Rasko pondered for a moment and shook his head in agreement. I have a few conditions though. The box has to be painted blue, the color of the sky. Yeah, but the locks will be mine. In the next few days, the box got made as per Rasko's specifications. The wily old man sold tickets to the townsmen to watch the spectacle from a vantage point. He spent the money in hiring a chopper to drop his subject into the sea. He was still left with a tidy sum. Rasko could not sleep that night. He kept mumbling to himself as if rehearsing his magic chants, which would set him free. He decided to quit the town and travel to Lucia to see his wife and children. He would quit the trade forever. He would be free. The choppers took off from the jail ground as a crowd cheered. The large wooden box dangled from the chopper as it flew towards the sea. In a couple of minutes, it was hovering about 50 feet above the chilly, stormy water of the sea. And then it released the payload. Mark and Anna set their watch as they saw the large box hit the water. It floated for a minute and then started plunging in the cold water. At exactly 5 minutes after the drop, they scooted on their motorboat towards the drop location. Mark jumped into the water and looked for the box. He soon attached a hook to the box and signaled to Anna to pull it up. They rushed towards the shore and carried the box towards the cliff. As they steadied the large box, they heard the wild cheers of the crowd from the nearby cliff. The gruffy old man watched intently. Anna moved the key inside the lock and turned it clockwise. They opened the lid to see a curled up Rasko. Only his head faced outwards, looking at the sky. He was not breathing. He was dead. He was free. That's it, sir.
Good. What I like about the story is you have been able to build curiosity in the minds of the reader. Okay, what's going to happen, and there is a twist to the tale. Twist to the tale in the sense of the way you have ended it. Okay, going by the reputation, he's a magician and all. You are expecting that he will definitely, you empathizing with him, you sympathize with the character, you were rooting for the character, you wanted him to escape and rejoin his wife and we quit the town, jaise tumne likha. Okay, but when our heart was all set for him, you have given this twist.
He died.
So he dies. Okay, so and now he's free. Okay, so that way I think it is good, and it's quite different also. I mean, it's not a chest containing diamonds and rubies. Okay, it's something quite different, out of the box. I must say the story is like out of the box, related to the box in the picture. Okay, and the characters are also like that. Anna and the other, who's the other character? Mark. Okay, they're required to, after 5 minutes, they're required to get the chest back and explore whether he has been able to escape or not. But we did not expect that he's going to die. but he dies.
Right.
That is a
But he
surprise.
died.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, it's written in the present tense, and the curiosity builds up. Okay, and the entire thing, but the way it has been arranged by the sales superintendent, the challenge, the bet, okay, and the preparation, and the townspeople, all of them have gathered to see the.
Yeah, he sold tickets also.
He sold tickets. He made a tidy profit also. Okay, but this is what happened. But of course, the liberty that you have taken. I mean, in real life, prison superintendent cannot do this. A jail
Yeah, I know
superintendent
that.
cannot.
Yeah, I know. It's a
But
fiction. It's a fiction.
But maybe 200 years ago, this could have happened in Europe or in especially in England. ऐसा हम लोग बहुत बचपन में stories हम लोग पढ़े हैं, लेकिन
We can
definitely
make
not
that
in
movie in black and white.
black and white does not mean ki the period has to be old. You can make a period film in color also. Okay, but yeah, this is good. I mean, I don't immediately see a problem with this. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Yeah, thank you so much.
So we can move to next story. The Murgeshwari, the secret treasure.
Okay. Chest है तो treasure है.
What is called the secret?
Treasure trunk.
Good evening, sir.
Treasure रहेगा या dead body रहेगा. Okay, चलो.
Yeah. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah.
Okay. The secret treasure trunk. Skating by road near the sea, and after reaching home, Muriel was surprised to listen to soft music being played at home after coming from dance class. Her mother was at work. She saw her dog Casper sitting outside her younger brother's bedroom. She patted him and asked, "Where is Aymar?" She pushed open the door to find Aymar and her stepfather Sam with their pants down. Aymar was tied by his hands. She was shocked. Out of embarrassment, Aymar could not look at her, and Sam was startled at first, but in a few seconds behaved as if nothing had happened. Sam zipped his pants and told her it's okay. There is no need of making an issue of it. It's our little secret. Shh. The family's name is at stake. Muriel untied his hands. Aymar got up teary-eyed and zipped his pants and left the room. He put off the music. Sam was about to leave when Muriel grabbed him. He looked back in anger and grabbed her by her ass. Aymar saw this and pushed him so hard that he fell on the floor. Seeing violence in Aymar's adolescent eyes, Sam left the house and disappeared like vapor. Aymar was left dumbstruck. He started shivering and went and sat near his treasure trunk. Muriel could not digest what happened. In a fraction of seconds, her world turned upside down. Tensing the situation, Casper started licking Aymar. She told him that I need an answer. So do I, replied he. What has been my fault all these years? He kept silent and stared at the treasure trunk. She sensed that there is something in the treasure trunk which he never allowed anyone to touch. She opened it and saw drawings from his childhood, which revealed what all had happened with him. There was a blood-stained pant from his younger days and toys which he never ever played with. She got the answer behind Aymar socially boycotting himself. His silence and the trunk gave her all the answers. Deep within, she knew that Sam would never return, so she convinced him to throw the trunk away into the sea. He agreed, and they both left their house along with Casper to get rid of the trunk. It started lightning and thundering. Muriel was unable to carry the trunk further. But it was Aymar's will and the suppressed anger of all these years that gave him the courage to lift up the trunk and push it into the sea. Seeing the trunk fall into the sea, Aymar screamed, and so did the sky thunder loudly. A tear rolled down from his cheek, which merged with the rain. They both looked at each other and then at the sea, which embraced their secret.
Okay, this is better than yesterday what you have read. Okay, but I'll just want to go through it again because skating by the road near the sea, and after reaching home, Muriel was surprised to listen to soft music being played at home after coming from dance class. Her mother was at work. She saw her dog Casper. So Muriel, how old is Muriel?
Around 1920.
Acha, ideally, you should mention the age, huh? Approximate. Whenever you're introducing
Okay.
a character, just a comma deke, ideally, approximately 19 years. Acha, Shashank is writing to us. Can we address Shashank because it's distracting us from our session?
Sorry, sir. Sorry, extremely sorry. I won't be
Uh,
doing that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Acha, yeah. Because I lost the plot because of anyway. So mother was at work. She again I told you yesterday ki Durgeshwari. You try to write
Yes,
it in
sir.
present tense. Huh? She sees her dog Casper sitting outside her younger brother's bedroom. So Muriel is a girl. Okay, na?
Yes, sir.
She pats him and asks where is Aymar. She pushes open the door to find Aymar and her stepfather Sam with the pants down. Aymar is tied by his hands. She's shocked out of embarrassment. Aymar does not look at her, and Sam is startled at first, but in a few seconds behaves as if nothing has happened. Sam zips his pant and tells her it's okay. There's no need of making an issue out of it. It's our little secret, huh? The family's name is at stake. Muriel unties his hands. Aymar gets up teary-eyed and zips his pants and leaves the room. He puts up the music. Sam is about to leave when Muriel grabs him. He looks back in anger and grabs her by her ass. Aymar sees this and pushes him so hard that he falls on the floor. Seeing violence in Aymar's adolescent eyes, Sam leaves the house and disappears like vapor. Aymar is left dumbstruck. He starts shivering and goes and sits near his treasure trunk. Muriel could not digest what had happened. In a fraction of seconds, her world has turned upside down. Tensing the situation, Casper starts licking Aymar. Okay? She tells him Muriel tells Aymar that I need an answer. So do I, replies Aymar. What has been my fault all these years? He keeps silent and stares at the treasure trunk. She senses that there's something in the treasure trunk which he never allowed anyone to touch. Achha, how old is Aymar?
He's 14, 15.
Again, you should have mentioned the age, ठीक है ना? Because as a reader, I'm guessing अरे इसका age कितना होगा? ये 9 साल का लड़का है या now you're telling me 14 साल का लड़का है, 14, 15. 15 is quite quite grown up. Okay, so treasure trunk. She opens it and sees drawings from his childhood, which reveals what all had happened with him. There is a bloodstained pant of his from his younger days and toys which he never played with. She gets the answer behind Aymar socially boycotting himself. So Aymar is basically a loner. His silence and the trunk gave her all the answers. Deep within, she knew that Sam would never return, so she convinces him to throw the trunk away into the sea. He agrees, and they both left their house along with Casper to get rid of the trunk. It starts lighting and thundering. Muriel is unable to carry the trunk further, but it is Aymar's will and the suppressed anger of all these years that gives him the courage to lift up the trunk, and they push it into the sea, and he pushes into the sea. Seeing the trunk fall into the sea, Aymar screams, and so does the sky, and thunders loudly. A tear rolls down from his cheek, which merges with the rain. They both look at each other and then at the sea, which embraces. Beautiful. I think this is very good.
Thank you, sir.
Suddenly, the only thing is you should have mentioned the ages of both the brother and sister. Also the father, the stepfather, approximately 42 years old or 45 years old. Okay. और ये जो हो रहा है, you mentioned the mother, but she's conveniently forgotten. I mean, in all this, the mother does not make an appearance. Okay, so when this ruckus is happening in the room, the mother is around. Nah? It's not that the mother is not around.
She's at work, I have mentioned.
What did you mention?
She's at work.
Acha, she's at work. Acha, okay.
Yes.
Acha, so she's not in the house, isn't it?
No.
So in her absence, the stepfather takes advantage, and this is what he has been doing for all these years.
Yes.
And this little boy, who's not little 15-year-old boy, had been, the trunk mein aisa, the fact that he was being exploited all these years. Okay, and the sister discovers this for the first time. Something very significant is happening, and she can understand the stepfather is not going to come back anymore. And so the brother and sister, they drown and they're relieved of their kind of, hopefully from this point onwards they'll lead a healthier life.
Yes,
and the
yes.
trauma and everything is gone. It's behind them now. Okay, and so the sister helps the brother to overcome the trauma
Yes,
by getting
yes.
rid of the box. Both of them actually take the decision. So it's a secret between the brother and the sister. The mother will never come to know.
No.
Okay. So yeah, I think this is really very good. Again, as I told you, try to write it in the present tense. Okay, you have written the whole thing in the past tense. It's not
No,
that you
it
cannot. You see, 99% of it is in the past tense. Na? देखो तुम.
it's I think
देखो last
okay, I'll
paragraph
go.
देखो ना. It started lighting and it starts lighting and thundering होना चाहिए. Muriel is unable to carry
Okay.
the trunk
Ha
further,
ha
but it
ha
is
ha.
Aimer's will and suppress anger all this way.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
present tense,
Yes,
as I
yes.
told you yesterday, present tense में अगर कहानी लिखोगे ना, वो immediacy आता है, immediacy urgency आता है.
Correct, correct,
As if
correct,
अभी
sir.
अभी हो
Correct.
रहा है, मेरे सामने हो रहा है, आंखों के सामने हो रहा है. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, I mean, that is how we write screenplays. Now,
Okay,
and because
okay.
you're applying for FTI, that is why I'm asking you. If there's nothing wrong in writing it in past tense, of course. But if you write it for FTI exam, if you write it in the present tense, so
Okay.
examiner को लगेगा हाँ इसका एक कहानी बोलने का एक urgency जो है, urgency of the action, that is very visible.
Okay.
Okay, otherwise it's very good. Just mention the ages. I'm telling this to everybody. Whenever you introducing a character, comma देके just approximately उसका age क्या है character का, वो थोड़ा सा mention करना जरूरी है. So everything is clear. Okay.
Okay.
चलो, yeah.
Thank you,
So
sir.
Ranjan, we'll break for 10 minutes.
अच्छा ठीक है, चलो, yeah, we'll
And,
take a break for 10
7
minutes.
o'clock
Yeah.
almost. So
हाँ,
7:10 we will meet again.
Okay, चलो 7:10 को हम लोग मिलते हैं. ठीक है, चलो, yeah.
So next is Srinath. Srinath, are you around?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So please continue.
So am I visible?
Yeah.
एक second.
Yeah.
Yeah, चलो.
Okay, sir.
हाँ.
Yesterday I was not there. I didn't write any story. I didn't write any story, but I was present in the class, but didn't wrote any story.
अच्छा, okay.
Okay. So I'm from Vadodara, sir. Which you held your
अच्छा,
in MS.
अच्छा,
Yes, I am from
okay.
Vadodara, Gujarat.
Okay. So this what you're going to read now, is it based on yesterday's picture?
No,
or
sir. Today's story. No, sir. On the today's
the
on
chest.
today's
The
photo.
chest. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Chalo.
Should I start?
Yeah.
Okay, sir. So the story title is "You have to do this for me. I have to do this for you." With her red eyes, Anamika was continuously staring at this evil box. She was pulling it with her full potential because she knew that once she will dump the box into the river, she and Anamik will become more closer to each other. The ones they will become more happier, like they were before. Come on, Anamik, more power. We have to do this. I have to do this for you. You have to do this for me. Anamik, who was exhausted by pulling the box, look at my hands. They have become red. Is it that heavy? Anamika looking in his eyes with a very low voice replied, now you realize this was the burden of our mistakes. This was the burden of our unfaithfulness, burden of expectations. We acted so much immaturely with each other that I regretted myself doing this. So in the act of redemption, I had to kill them all.
Just
they were evil for us.
Wait. I would ask you, Ranjan, one thing. When a student have to attempt a story like this, is it a good idea to incorporate the dialogues because it's already a short story?
Yeah, it is not a good idea. Okay, to incorporate the dialogues because it takes up a lot of space. But there has been one student who had written a lot of dialogues, but it made sense. Okay, but there's no hard and fast rule that one cannot write dialogues. But if within 500 words or within 600 words, within the word limit, one does write dialogues and also conveys the sense, then it's okay. So let us go through the whole thing. Let's see how he has gone about it. Yeah.
Okay. So continuing, they were evil for us. They were threat to our relation, and because of some external evil emotions, I cannot afford losing you. Scroll down, so little. But that was the need to kill them.
But what was the need to kill them? We could have sorted.
How? Asked Anamika. We could have talked. We could have discussed this. Anamika, can you see those blood stains on the box? Anamika asked. To which Anamik looked at the stains and said confusingly, maybe it is the blood of one of the emotions that you killed. No, it is the blood of a communication, which we killed when we were in the influence of evil emotions. Anamik stared at the blood stains. Anamik, to kill these emotions was the only option left for me. Otherwise, I would have always stayed in your mind. I wanted to be in your heart without killing them. There was no place in your heart. Realizing each other's faults, they reached on the verge of the river. Anamik, we have suffered a lot due to this. We wasted lots of time blaming each other. Sorry for. Anamik taking a deep breath. Then what waiting for? Dumps this into deep river and make sure it does not appear ever again. Returns for long. They throw the box into the river. Standing on the verge of the river bank, Anamik and Anamika were looking at the sun as their new hope. Anamik, with little fear, asked Anamika, what if they came back? Anamika, what you can see in my eyes. Anamik, myself. Anamika, that's all. As long as you will stay inside me, we will never be separated again.
As long as just like last line kya tha, as Anamika, that's all. As long as you will stay inside me, we will never be separated again. Okay, yeah. Just scroll on, scroll up to the first. Dekho, first of all, let me try to understand whether I have got your story right. Okay, it's about a pair, a lover, isn't it? Anamika and Anamik. Okay,
yes,
they
sir.
have killed certain people who.
No, sir. Actually, they have killed their emotions, the unfaithfulness, the mistakes, the immaturity, the burden of expectations. They have killed them. They were the evil emotions for them. Due to that, they were separated. So after killing them, they buried that into the box.
Dekho, first
and they
of
are
all,
going to throw into the sea. They are going the way to throw into the sea.
Why have they killed their emotions?
Because that was the negative emotions, right, sir?
What do you mean by negative emotions? How was it hampering their relationship?
So means it was disturbing them. It was threat to the relation. Means they were separated. Means they were going away from each other. Like if anything happens, if you do not have trust, there was no trust, there was no communication, there was no loyalty. So all this were there.
Have you mentioned all these things? Because
yes, sir.
It's about just come to that particular line, because I was getting a little confused. Anyway, come show me that line. Yeah.
So second paragraph, fourth line, sir. No,
fourth paragraph
fourth
or
line,
fourth?
Sir. Second paragraph.
Second, come on, Anamik, Mopao, we have to do this. I have to do this for you. You have to do this for me. Anamik was extorted by pulling the box. Look at my hands.
No, sir, second paragraph, sir. Second paragraph.
Second paragraph. So Anamika, looking inside a very low voice, replied, now you realize this was a burden of our mistakes. This was a burden of our unfaithfulness, burden of expectations. We acted so much immaturely with each other that I regretted myself doing this. So in the act of redemption, I had to kill them all. They were evil for us. They were threatening to our relationship, and because of some external evil emotions, I cannot afford losing you. देखो, yeah, I get it. तो तुम्हारा story में main problems क्या है मैं बता रहा हूँ कि first of all naming the characters Anamik and Anamika.
Yeah, I was also going to that.
They're so close to each other. They're so close to each other. The names, that I'm getting confused. Anamik क्या बोल रहा है? Anamika क्या react कर रही है या कर रहा है? So I was getting confused. So whenever you name characters, the name should be drastically different from each other in terms of, the pronunciation. Anamik and Anamika are very close. Okay, so yeah, that is one major problem. Another problem is this: as an aspiring filmmaker, as an aspirant to a film school, wanting to be a film student, try to avoid abstract stories at this stage. Try to avoid abstraction at this stage entirely. Try to deal with concrete things that you can see in front of your eyes and things that you can hear. Things should be very, very palpable. Palpable का मतलब समझते हो? Palpable मतलब जो तुम touch कर सकते हो, जो तुम्हारे नजदीक है, जो तुम्हें दिखाई देता है, जो तुमको महसूस होता है. That is called palpable. So your story, the contents of your story should be very, very palpable. You are dealing here with an abstract situation. I'm calling it abstract because you're dealing with emotions, and they're bearing emotions inside a box. Now, this I find very, what I would say, their entire action is very literal, but what they have put inside, instead of dead bodies, I thought they have killed an entire family, the parents maybe, but no, it's the negative. You're talking about negative emotions, which I have not explained. What are those negative negative emotions? So you're pouring, you're put emotions inside a box and trying to throw the box into the sea. Now this is very, very abstract. Because you actually cannot, you fight with your emotions in a different manner. And there are ways of doing it. A lot of films deal with that, how a character deals with his own emotions. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is this: don't try to deal with abstract emotions at this stage, especially when you're trying to get into a film school. Number one. Number two, number three, your story goes into a explanatory mode. A lot of things are being explained. That is bad writing. That is absolutely bad cinema. The action has been done, the deed has been done. Now the characters are discussing कि हम लोग ऐसा किए हैं और इसीलिए किए हैं और इसका फल ये होगा. ये जो what you're getting into explanatory mode. Never do that in cinema. Never do that in a short film. Okay, so that is a major issue I have with your. Story. Too much of explanations, too much of backstory explanations, and that to what? Something very, very abstract like emotions, putting emotions inside the. Why can't you deal with something very, very concrete? Do you get me what I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir. Yes.
This is becoming very, very kind of. देखो ये लड़का जो है, ये जो स्टूडेंट है, वो थोड़ा सा इंटेलेक्चुअल बनने का कोशिश कर रहा है. ऐसा मतलब थॉट नहीं आना चाहिए एग्जामिनर के दिमाग में. तुम करो, देखो डायरेक्टर्स लाइक Tarkovsky and all who have done very abstract films. There's so many directors, but that comes much later in their lives. As long as the film students are making very conventional student exercises, the cuts are very conventional. Their storytelling is very conventional. When they pass out after, like Russian film school is 5 years or 6 years, I think. And after working for several years, they arrive at a certain understanding of life. And then they start making those kind of films, which are appreciated by audience all over the world. But it takes time to reach that level. Now you're trying to get into FTI. So try to be grounded. Your feet should be on the ground. I hope I've made myself clear.
Yes, sir. Sure. I would also like to add to everybody that don't say the same thing in a different words. Say, for example, he says here, we could have talked. We could have
discussed this. You're repeating.
How you discuss when you will talk? So when you will talk, you will discuss. So you simply said, we could have discussed. So you're unnecessarily repeating the same word and killing your number of words space by repeating the same thing. So if you don't have much to say, use a limited words and that's it. Got my point? This is what I have learned over the 7 years when I was condensing the interviews of these photographers. I have one point to say and they say the same thing in...
they repeat it in different...
5 sentences. And then I have to reduce those 5 sentences into one sentence. This is what you want to say. So why to use the 5 sentences?
Space and screen time is very valuable.
It is like a telegram. When you go to give a telegram, you don't say that thing. Telegram guy would say, okay, we could have discussed. We discussed. Telegram would say, we discussed. So
this you learn best in journalism.
I'm not supposed to be a journalist. But over the 7 years now, 26th edition of the magazine which I have edited, condensing, somebody would transcribe the interview, and I would go through that interview. What this guy is trying to do.
नहीं, तो क्या है, हम लोग जब बातें करते हैं ना, हम लोग रिपीट करते हैं, है ना? वो तो नेचुरल है, ठीक है? But तुम जब ट्रांसक्राइब करके when you editing it into for a magazine piece, you have to like you understand. Oh my God, अरे ये फिर वही रिपीट कर रहा है.
That's one thing you need to remember. You have a limited number of words given over there and a space to be more sure.
Yeah, they give you the number of pages, blank pages. So within those blank pages, you have to write the story.
Correct.
You
So
cannot ask for extra papers, huh?
nobody will give you. So anyway, Tushar Singh, gentleman number 7, and then we have 8. So Tushar Singh, are you around?
Yes, sir.
Okay, switch on your video so that we can see you.
तुषार
Yes,
तुम कल थे क्या तुषार?
कल था.
हाँ sir.
अच्छा, ओके, ठीक है, चलो बोलो.
Okay. 2 red veins bulging in enormous blue eyes was the last thing Henry ever saw. Loud screeching shouts by Australian seals wake Samantha up. She takes out a steel tumbler, puts on a blue jacket, and leaves the tent. Her brown leather shoes dig deep into the shining white snow. She collects some snow and shovels it in a steel tumbler. She looks around. The yellow tent looks like a tiny speck against the tall white mountains, a group of brown seals lying on each other. Samantha enters her tent, puts the snow in a flask, and starts boiling it. As the water boils, she throws some tea leaves in it. The smell of tea wakes up Henry. He slightly moans and wakes up, smiling at Samantha. He inquires about the time and gives a loud yawn. Samantha fills another great tumbler with tea and passes it to Henry. Henry opens his backpack and takes out a yellow tinted map. He takes out a compass and some measurement tools, calculates and nods information. We will reach in an hour if we leave now, Henry comments in a deep voice. The tribals warned us not to leave near dawn, Samantha replies. Henry gives out a chuckle and questions whether she really believed the myth of Shaman, a humanoid monster said to be lurking in those mountains as a protector of the land. Obviously I don't, but let us respect their beliefs. They helped us a lot in reaching here, Samantha replies while sipping her tea. If we leave now, we can come back before the winds become bigger torrents. Henry brings the map to Samantha. Look, we are just a kilometer away. If our calculations are correct, the bones of Sir James McCarthy must be buried exactly here, Henry exclaims while pointing to a sign in the map. You know, right, the co-sailors of Sir McCarthy, who survived and came back, mentioned seeing a huge walking figure in the mountains. Well, Samantha, starving men see a lot of things. Now come on, we are going to be late. Henry said, zipping up his jacket and wearing his boots. Samantha and Henry left the tent soon, and after their conversation, proceeded with their journey, listening to the sharp winds hitting their faces. Samantha fell a couple of times and Henry helped her get up. Henry was carrying a tall sickle and some digging equipment. In 40 minutes, as per Henry's watch, they reached the place and started digging. Soon their sickle landed at a hard white box. Both of them nearly jumped for joy. As they were taking out the box, Henry's heart froze. 2 huge legs with the feet shaped like a chimp's, covered in snow. Henry did not dare look up, but realized Samantha was looking directly at it. Henry, drop the box and run on a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Henry turns around and leaps, but hits something hard and falls down. He looks up and sees 2 red veins bulging in enormous blue eyes.
Okay, just go back to the first. So, yeah, 2 red veins bulging in enormous blue eyes was the last thing Henry ever saw. Okay, you're starting from so you're going back in time. Loud screeching shouts of Australian seals wake Samantha up. She takes out a steel tumbler, puts on the blue jacket, and leaves the tent. Her brown leather shoes dig deep into the shining white snow. She collects some snow and shovels it inside her steel tumbler. She looks around. The yellow tent looks like a tiny speck in the tall white mountains. Group of brown seals lying on each other. Very visual. I can see the visuals. That way, it's very well written. Samantha enters the tent, puts the snow in a flask and starts boiling it. As the water boils, it shows some tea leaves. The smell of the tea wakes up Henry. He slightly moans and wakes up, smiling at Samantha. He inquires about the time and gives a loud yawn. Samantha films another great with tea and passes it to Henry. Henry opens his backpack and takes out a yellow tainted map. Very, very well detailed. He takes out a compass and some measurement tools, calculates and nods in affirmation. We'll reach in an hour if you leave now, Henry comments in a deep voice. The tribals warned us not to leave near, not to leave near dawn. Samantha replies. Henry gives out a chuckle and questions whether she really believed the myth of Shaman, a humanoid monster said to be lurking in these mountains as a protector of the land. Obviously, I don't, but let us respect the beliefs. They helped us a lot in reaching here. Samantha replies while sipping her tea. If you leave now, we can come back before the winds become bigger torrents. Henry brings the map to Samantha. Look, we are just a kilometer if your calculations are correct. The bones of Sir James, so you're revealing information gradually, dhire dhire, which is good. Okay, the bones of Sir James McCarthy must be buried exactly here. Henry extends. Okay, and well, someone just go up a little. I mentioned seeing a huge. the so-called pointing to a sign in the map, right? The co-sellers of McCarthy who survived and came back mentioned seeing a huge walking figure in the mountains. Well, Samantha, starving men see a lot of things. Now, come on, we are going to be late. Henry said, zipping up his jacket and wearing his boots. Samantha and Henry left the tent soon after the conference, proceeded with the journey, listening to the sharp winds hitting their faces. Samantha fell down a couple of times, helped up, okay. And Henry is carrying a tall sickle and slight digging equipment. In 40 minutes, as per Henry's watch, they reach the place and start digging. How do they arrive at this particular place, Tushar?
Just by walking, sir. They just walk to the place.
No, this particular place. Yeah, how do they know it is going to be this particular spot?
Sir, this is just some island, unmentioned island, and they were just calculating. They had a map and they just basically had a map, and also basically he says, according to the calculation, his bones must be buried here. So some expedition must have carried on here. Some sailors survived, they went back, but the main sailor of that place, Henry James McCarthy, his bone they're looking for is basically bone. And they are trying to find the bones.
They are following a map. Okay, so they were
okay. They are following a map. Yes.
So that is how it's not if they accidentally stumble into.
Yeah, they're following a map.
Soon their sickle lands hard on a white box. Both of them nearly jump with joy as they are taking out the box. Henry's heart freezes. Two huge legs with the feet shaped like a chimp's covered in snow. Henry does not dare look up, but realizes Samantha is looking directly at it. Henry, drop the box and run on a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Henry turns around and leaves, but hits something hard and falls and looks up and sees 2 red veins bulging in enormous blue eyes. Okay. I think it's very good. I think it's very visual and it's well written. The adventure, the tension comes out, and you have revealed the graduation dhire dhire, one by one, which is good storytelling. Which is good storytelling, and instead of revealing the entire like the previous student did, he went into an explanatory mode. Here you are not entering into an explanatory mode. The dialogues are like linked directly to the action, and the dialogues which are being spoken are a direct result of whatever they they are encountering or whatever they had heard of. Okay, the warnings and all. So there's a sense of drama, there's a sense of curiosity, there's a sense of anticipation, and of course there's a sense of adventure, and it's very, very visual, and and there's an element of surprise also, and I think it's good.
Sir, जैसे आपने mention किया कि abstract concept avoid करना है, ऐसे fantastical concept भी realistic concept के
ऊपर fantastical concept तुम कर सकते हो, लेकिन देखो when we see Harry Potter and all, those are not realistic ना, but Harry Potter में तो कुछ हो रहा है, हम देख रहे हैं. Harry, तुम्हारा जो previous student वो he has put emotions inside a box. Now that is not fantastical.
नहीं, पर जैसे सभी FTI है तो FTI realistic plots को ज़्यादा favor नहीं करेगा क्या? Because that's the cinema he promotes and he kind of favors.
Come again.
नहीं, I'm just asking कि अगर एक जगह same fantastical plot है और एक जगह realistic plot है, दोनों well written है, तो तब भी won't FTI prefer realistic plot more because that's the kind of cinema he prefers?
No. If it is well written, then of course it will be accepted. Nothing to do with being realistic. Okay, it can be fantastical. Of course, it can be. You can write a fairy tale. Animation films are fantastical. ना? Animation films जो तुम देखते हो, कितने सारे अच्छे animation films आज बन रहे हैं, commercially release भी हो रहा है. So those are not quote unquote realistic. ना? Those are fantastical. They're dragons who speak. So you can write a story like that where dragons are speaking. But what I'm trying to say is, don't get into abstraction mode at this stage.
Okay.
Also, Tushar, I'll just add one thing.
Yes, sir.
FTI is not a name of a person. FTI is an organization.
Yes, sir.
Promote this, FTI don't promote that. Is not a.
ऐसा नहीं है. ऐसा गलतफहमी है लोगों का. ऐसा एकदम नहीं है.
अच्छा.
Who would like to make a narrative structure? It is an individual who would like a formalistic, and some individual who go abstract. Now here, I would just mention a small anecdote. When we were in the 3rd year, me and my batchmate Arun Verma, and we came out after watching a diploma film. And very often it happens that we don't understand what is going on in the film. So we were all lost. What to say? We looked at each other and we were just thinking that who will break the ice, you know. So Arun Verma said a very interesting comment. He made a comment that James Monaco is writing a book, How to Read FTI Diploma Films. James Monaco has written a famous book called How to Read a Film.
How to Read a Film by James Monaco is a very famous book. Okay.
It's a joke which everybody in FTI would understand. They would burst into laughter. Nobody understood what is going on. So you can do that when you are in a final year and it's your film and do whatever you want.
But जब tips ये हम लोग ये देना चाह रहे हैं कि जब तुम FTI में एंट्री लेने की कोशिश करो ना, be grounded, be realistic, वो clarity होना चाहिए. तुम्हारा कोई भी कहानी, तुम fairy tale बोलो, animation film लिखो, कुछ भी बोलो तुम्हारे, लेकिन उसमें clarity होना जरूरी है और abstraction में मत जाओ. You know, clarity is the first thing. Clarity is the first thing.
Because
and
something which should be appreciated by everyone, and also it would depend upon the examiner who is going to read your thing. One person will not check up the paper, okay? So there would be 10 to 15 people who would the paper would be distributed to, and it depends upon the person. It depends upon your horoscope or luck, or you call it whatever. Who is the examiner who is reading your stuff? And abstraction everybody would not appreciate, okay? But something which is a narrative, simply written, you know, like in my final year of FTI, I was a screening in charge. I'm just pointing out something. So I had to balance certain kind of films. So I knew if I put this kind of film, certain group of people would like it, but everybody may not watch it, you know. But there are certain films which everybody will appreciate and like it and would enjoy, you know. Be in that domain, particularly as of now, when you are about to enter. So something which would be appreciated by, say, for example, out of 10 examiners, 8 examiners, 2 may have a very personal liking toward the abstraction. But then there's a chance you're taking. So I would suggest don't take a chance. Get into your language. Command over the language is very good, but try to be in a simplistic format and give something very interesting. Like yesterday, the Vatsala's narrative, there was a kind of a surprise at the end, right? And remember?
Yeah.
So that kind of a thing you will feel in the Roald Dahl's stories. I don't know I pronounce it correctly or not. So many of his stories are having a surprise element in there. You know, that's what you like about that author. So something which would
universal
and give a little kick to the examiner that, oh, this is interesting. He should say, wow.
और एक चीज मैं बताना चाहता हूँ. देखो ये जो तुम लोगों को आज दिया गया जो पिक्चर जो दिया गया, चेस्ट 2 people, you know, वो चेस्ट पुल कर रहा है या थ्रो कर रहा है या सी से रिट्रीव कर रहा है, ठीक है. And I knew most students would associate the chest with either dead body or treasure.
Yes,
the challenge is, you know, both are cliche. There's nothing wrong if you write a story around a dead body or treasure. There's nothing wrong in it. But can you write something else involving the chest? जैसे एक जने लिखा ना, escape artist in jail. You know, that story is very good, which is absolutely out of the box. Neither did it, of course, eventually it contained a dead body, okay, of a trick which failed, but it was a very, very out of the box kind of a story.
So out of the box ideas are better.
So वो भी सोचो कि don't fall into the trap of, कभी-कभी जानबूझ के तुम्हें ट्रैप में फेंका जाता है कि हाँ चेस्ट है तो डेड बॉडी है या ट्रेजर है. Advertising में ज्यादा होता है. Advertising, if you want to join advertising and you have to sit for a written exam, so advertising में तुम्हें कुछ cliche situation दिया जाता है to the aspirants, and 90% of the aspirants invariably fall into a trap and write around those cliche situations. The challenge is to write something else involving the same elements.
Sir, should I have avoided dialogues in this story?
देखो dialogues, I will not say, देखो dialogues अगर avoid, यहाँ पे the dialogues are not hampering the flow of your story. There's a gradual movement and exploration, and the dialogues are a part of the action. Okay, and it makes sense. But I did not have problems with your dialogues, and I did not have problems with, I think Shashank or कौन था वो, I'm forgetting his name. उसमें भी बहुत सारे dialogues थे. I did not have problems. But generally, again, there's no hard and fast rule. Okay, अगर तुम्हें लगता है dialogues essential है तो लिखो, नहीं तो मत लिखो. यहाँ पे I felt your dialogues are necessary. There's no problem. I just had that problem with the previous student who got into an explanatory mode. Explanatory mode मतलब visual से, अगर visual से तुम establish कर सकते हो तो dialogues लिखने का जरूरत नहीं है. लेकिन तुम्हारा कहानी ऐसा था कि ऐसा है कि वहाँ पे dialogues का थोड़ा सा जरूरी है और forced भी नहीं लग रहा है वो जो information आ रहा है. ठीक है ना? So you have to strike a balance because your story is very visual. That is one thing I liked it. The story is very, very visual. It's very, very palpable, as if I am there. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, so next gentleman is Susnata Samanta. Are you around?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So, am I audible?
Yeah.
You were
Sir,
there. Were you there yesterday?
Yes, sir. I was there, but I didn't submit my homework. So I didn't.
Okay. Chalo.
Liam and Speedy are carrying the box that their father has brought from the oceans, the box containing the fishes. They were eagerly waiting for their father to return so that they could help their father sort out the fish and get it ready for it being delivered to the market. After they are finished with the work, Speedy says to Liam, "Let's go and sit on our castle." Liam smiled. The most black and smooth boulder rock that the Manaskan beach has was declared by them as their castle. They sat on it whenever they came there to talk to the ocean. "Today is a little cloudy," Liam said, looking towards the partly visible sun. "Okay, I found you," and laughed heartily. Speedy knew it was a little game that Liam played with himself. She couldn't help but smile. The screeching seagulls flew over their heads towards the sea. Liam rose his hand in the air as if he could catch them with his hands. The sky color changed from blackish to bluish and finally yellow. Far from where they were sitting, the other fishermen are seen jotted along the coastline. Their faded voices could be heard as murmurs. Speedy and Liam's father is a fisherman too, but it was the first time that they came there to assist their father. It was their first time they came to know so much about the life of the fisherman. Just when Speedy was about to get lost in her thoughts, Liam said, "Let's go, Speedy. You are already late. Today, don't we have to? We are already late today. Don't we have a school to go?" So, the words of the younger brother brought her back to the reality. She gazed at the horizontal sea line and took in the air that filled her with joy of loving her life, living her life. They both walked towards their father's van with a smile in their face, hoping to come back again.
Okay, but what's happening? There's hardly any.
Yes, sir. That is what I tried to convey through the story. That it is not always necessary for a story to happening something that I didn't want to be happening. I wanted to make my viewers just feel that a life with less happening can also be a story.
Okay, I get your point. Yeah, I get your point. But I'll be very frank. Okay, I'll be very frank. This is a course which has been conducted to help aspirants get into FTI. Okay, and the examiners who will be evaluating your answer papers, answer sheets. Okay, they're all filmmakers connected to the medium of cinema, and cinema involves itself in stories which unfold through action. By action, I mean something is happening. Okay, so yes, your story, I'm not saying it's bad. What your story is that you have just explained is a kind of a feeling, kind of a anubhuti, jise hum log bolte hain, anubhuti, some kind of anubhuti, some kind of a feeling, which is good, which is fair enough. But I, as an aspiring, as an examiner, I do not see a film happening out of this. Okay, because there's hardly any plot. The plot is very, very minimal. It's threadbare. It's just a moment. It's just reflections. It's very, very interior. And there's too much of interiority. Okay, and the brother and sister, they always come to this particular spot. This is the first time they're coming here to help out their father. The father has got fish from the sea. Okay, so you have captured a moment. Nothing wrong in that. Nothing wrong in that. It's more like a still photograph. Still photograph also tells stories ना. Still photograph का मतलब क्या है? Still photograph देख के तुम्हारे दिमाग में बहुत कुछ idea आता है. कोई भी still photograph, अच्छा still photograph, gives rise to so much of stories. लेकिन your writing looks like a still photograph. It has to have it has to convey a series of photographs. It has to have a flow. There has to be a plot. There has to be some kind of a development. That is what I feel. And to be very frank, ये अगर तुम मतलब FTI का एग्जाम में लिख रहे हो, this might go against you. Nothing to, I'm not saying it's a bad story. If I'm reading it as a story by an author, I like it. I'm not saying I wouldn't like it. There are several stories that I've liked, in fact, but I felt they are not quote unquote cinematic. Of course, I can see the visuals. There are a lot of visual quality in your this thing also. The way you have described the landscape, the sea, and the fishermen jotted around the cliff and where they come and sit. Okay, which they have named. They have named something.
Beach.
So visual quality definitely here, but you have what you have done. You have basically, it's almost like a still photograph.
Okay, sir.
With hardly anything happening. There has to be some crisis. There has to be some kind of a development. There has to be some kind of a resolution. It's very, very important.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So today's people, in terms of sending their thing, are over.
Okay.
Sure if somebody who has sent it and I have not included, if such a person is around, please raise your hand so that I could look into the email if it is lost somewhere into some spam or something.
Can I say something? This is Shashank here.
Yeah, fully.
Yeah.
Sir, actually yesterday I sent the story based on दो photo के ऊपर में जो story था, मैंने time पे भेजा था, but somehow I missed the class. So with your permission, can I read that, please?
है हमारे पास अभी 10 मिनट 10-15 मिनट.
हाँ वो तो है.
But हम लोगों ने एक law भी बनाया हुआ है कि people who are not there, we will not include them, but since we have a time, so we can use that time for reading it out. So quickly, you can take out your story and read it.
Yes, sir. It is a story. If you want, I can read it. It's just 504 words.
बोलिए फटाफट.
Sir. Shamu packed his red suitcase reluctantly. Aarti, his mother, had directed him to carry his class 2 textbooks. Shamu wondered why. Was it not supposed to be?
Just a moment. Can we see your story? Is it possible to see your story as you
I
read
will
it?
just try to figure. Shashank Jha is your name, right?
Yes, sir.
Image into the story homework. This is the story. Okay, wait. Let me just come out with this. Shashank Jha. This is the story.
Okay.
Okay. Let me just make it zoom in.
Large.
Yeah, just a moment. Okay. So here you go. Please read it.
Sir. Shamu packed his red suitcase reluctantly. Aarti, his mother, had directed him to carry his class 2 textbooks. Shamu wondered why. Was it not supposed to be his summer break? School will only start after a month. He picked up the thinnest books and hid the thick ones on the wardrobe. But he remembered to keep his gulel and his small box of marbles and a few Nagraj comics too. Aarti was busy packing Kunal's suitcase. His clothes, his perfume, his sandals, his undergarments, his shaving kit, toothbrush. She remembered that Kunal loved wearing kurtas in the ancestral village and packed a yellow, white, and a blue one each. She was still to start packing her own stuff. How she hated his village and his mother. Lol, she needed to pack some decent clothes, kurta, dupattas, and all. She was irritated. Kunal did not have time to come home. He was supposed to meet them at the railway station after his endless meetings. She finally managed to pack dinner for the overnight journey and hailed a taxi to the railway station. She waited nervously for Kunal as the train slowed down at the station. There was no sight of him. She skipped the beat. She took out her phone to see the battery drain. Shit, she had forgotten the mobile charger.
Yeah.
She had forgotten the mobile charger. Yeah. कहाँ गया मेरा? Yeah, Shamu watched the train excitedly. Aarti was nervous and fidgety. The coolie set up her luggage beneath the seats in the AC bogie. She kept looking outside the window for Kunal. No sign of him. The train whistled and moved. That was it. She was to face her mother-in-law all alone. And what was she to tell her about her missing son? Of course, she would scream that it was all her fault. She fed Shamu and slept fitfully. She was angry, nervous, and sad. But the reality was that she was going to his village. She got up in the morning and estimated her destination to be 1 hour away. Shamu was already up and running in the alley. Aarti watched the rain-drenched paddy fields from a window. She smiled. She walked to the gates of the bogie, opened the gate and took in the cool breeze. A small bridge passed underneath, and she shuddered for a moment, holding the door grips tightly. A group of workers sang as they worked in the field. A small temple hid itself in the groove. A rivulet jumped and ran with gay abandon. She kept smiling and hummed a racy Hindi film song. She went back to her seat and cosseted Shamu. Shamu looked at her happy face and embraced her tight. At the station, she knew there was no hurry. Why not take the sights of the small town she had always never thought of exploring? She hailed the slowest mode of transportation, a Tonga. She knew Kunal would take a flight and reach by evening. She smiled and looked forward to visit her home and her mother-in-law. That's all, sir.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I like the story in the sense the way you have described her emotions and the character arc comes out very well, and it's very visual. The details that you have mentioned that she sees through the moving train, and it's very audio visual. Um, but just Shamu. Initially, she is a little irritant. Okay, while she's packing, and she's irritated. Kunal has not come home. Kunal did not have time to come home. He was supposed to meet them at the railway station after his endless meetings. Okay, she finally manages to pack dinner for the overnight journey and hails a taxi to the railway station. She waits nervously for Kunal as the train slowly slows down to the station. There is no sight of him. She skips a beat. So she's waiting to get into the train actually and waiting for her husband. She takes out her phone to see the batteries. Oh my God, she has forgotten the mobile charger. Shamu watches the train excitedly. Ari is nervous and fidgety. Again, please try to write in present tense. The coolie sets up her luggage beneath the seats in the AC bogie. She keeps looking outside the window for Kunal. No sign of him. The train whistles and moves. This is it. She has to face her mother-in-law. She becomes really irritable. Okay, so you have captured her emotions well. She feeds Shamu and sleeps fitfully. She's angry, nervous, and sad. But the reality was that she was going to his village. Okay, she gets up in the morning and estimates her destination to be 1 hour. Shamu was already up and running in the alley, the corridor alley in the sense, the corridor of the train. Abby watches the train, rain-drenched paddy fields from her window. She smiles. She walks to the gate of a bogie, opens the gate and looks into the gold breeze. Small bridge passes underneath. Beautiful visuals. Holding the door grips tightly. A group of workers sing as they walk in the fields. Temple, vagera, vagera, vagera. Yeah, I think this is very good. I mean, you've captured a moment, the anticipation and the emotional, both the physical journey and the emotional journey of a woman who is irritated. Why did not her husband come? And now she knows he will take a flight to this hometown today. Okay, and now she comes to terms with the fact that okay, now it's instead of his home and his his mother, it's her home and her mother-in-law. So there's a kind of fulfillment. There's a graph transformation character arc जिसे हम लोग बोलते हैं. Yeah, I think it's quite good. It's quite lovely, basically. I don't have much. सिर्फ एक ही question है मेरा कि if her husband could catch the flight, why couldn't she also come in the flight?
Actually, yes, sir. मैंने सोचा था, पर मैंने सोचा it was एक line add करना होगा that they wanted to kind of go in a relaxed way in a train to get her son used to the train.
अच्छा, okay. वो अगर words अगर permit करता, you could have edited maybe and you edited and inserted that line because that is very important. मुझे लगा अरे यार husband अगर plane में आ सकता है, तले the two of them could have flown. Now why they need to take the train?
I know sir, ये gap है इसमें add करना पड़ेगा एक दो line.
So that is the only discordant note that I found. Okay. Otherwise, I think it's beautiful and it's very visual. The character, I love the character and the way you have portrayed the character. Okay, from her irritation to an expectation and to a total gradual transformation, which is, I think, it's good. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
But again, please write in present tense. Most of you are still writing in past tense, huh? Okay,
I will do that. I will do it.
So I think we are done for today, and it was quite a fruitful session for most of us because unless people will not write, you will not come to know. I mean, we can discuss of an idea and we could write and all that, but it is you people who need to should be able to write. So
एक चीज है तुम्हें writing practice करना ही पड़ेगा if you want to be a filmmaker. If you want to make films, you have to be able to write. Write in the sense, not in a literary manner, not like a great author. Matlab, you have to write. You have to practice imagination. And until as you write, there's a very famous poet, I'm forgetting the name. I put it up on the Facebook also. A lot of people asked him, do you need to write whatever you know? So he replied, until unless you start writing, you do not know what you know. So you have to bloody put your pen to paper or your fingers to the keys of the laptop, and you have to start writing. There's no shortcut. You cannot be a filmmaker if you are allergic to writing.
Right.
Yeah, तुम्हें FTI में भी बोलेंगे teacher.
Sir, can I ask you a question, sir?
Yeah, bolo.
Sir, is writing in a first person can we write in a first person?
No, for the exam, I told you yesterday, don't write in first person. Don't write I stepped out of the car and took a bus. No, you are an invisible camera. You can see everybody. Nobody can see you. So write in second person always for the sake of the examination. If you are trying to be, if you're trying to take out a book of short stories or a novel and you're not trying to enter FTI, of course you can do that. There's nobody stopping you. But ये मैं input बोल रहा हूँ because you are all of you preparing to sit for the FTI entrance exams. Okay, we would prefer कि तुम second person में लिखो. I या we नहीं आना चाहिए. हाँ बोलो दुर्गेश्वरी.
Yes, sir. Sir, I'm very new to writing. So can you suggest some book which has exercises on writing?
No, I'll tell you. If you Google, you'll come across a whole lot of sites. Just Google writing prompts.
Okay.
Writing prompts, and there are also books available on Kindle at least, which are very cheap also, 100 rupees, 150, 200 rupees. Writing prompts, 1001 writing prompts. Okay, they'll give you a situation and ask you to develop that.
Okay.
And there'll be a whole lot of exercises. Google karo, writing prompts.
Okay, fine, sir. Thank you, sir.
It's a good idea actually. This is very good. Shashank, what do you want to know?
सर एक चीज पूछ रहा था. सर बोल रहे थे राइटिंग प्रॉम्प्ट्स के बारे में. राइटिंग प्रॉम्प्ट्स में स्टोरी तो हम लोग लिख लेंगे सर, पर उसको इवैल्यूएट कौन? हाउ विल वी नो कि हमने अच्छा लिखा है कि बुरा लिखा है? लिख तो लेंगे प्रॉम्प्ट्स में, मगर कोई बताएगा तो.
I'll give you answer. In these 2 classes, he has given few pointers what not to do.
Right. That I have written down.
If you take care of those what not, then at least something which should not be there will not be there. Now, bifurcations, you can go into any lines, and as long as you don't have those what not to be done, at least you are in a safer zone. And then it's about your idea, how brilliant idea you have. And in these 2 days, you would have listened not only your ideas, but other people's ideas also. So you also know how other people have bifurcated from that point. And this ability, what you are asking, someday or other, you should be able to develop this ability कि whatever I have written is a shit, nonsense, super nonsense.
Exactly. The ability to be self-critical. Don't fall in love with your own writing. That is the biggest danger.
I know.
If you think you've written something which is a masterpiece and these guys have not been able to, see my genius, what a genius I am, then you're not going to make it.
I'll tell you something at this point. Whenever I have written 2 screenplays in the past, I sit along with the 4 people, okay? And I sit along with these 4 people who are better than me. I consider them as better than me, okay? And then everybody will come out with an idea on a particular situation. Now, most of the time, my idea is nonsense. And their ideas are brilliant. So I pick up which is the best. This is one of the way of brainstorming. That on a given
brainstorming is very important.
In a given situation, we come out with the ideas. And whatever idea appeals to me, I said, this is amazing. And most of the time, my ideas are nonsense. But I have that much sense to figure it out. Who has a better idea on a situation of this, and I should take this. That capability you should have to develop someday or other.
And it comes with it comes with practice, association with people, brainstorming with friends, and friends who are also into the business of writing. So you have to interact with a lot of people. I mean, people you trust, of course. तुम अकेला बैठ के लिख रहे हो in an ivory tower, ऐसा नहीं होता है. हाँ. And especially film writing is interactive. It's very, very interactive.
And if we look into the names in the screenplay of Federico Fellini's film, you will find always Fellini worked with 3 different people.
Yeah. 3 or 4 different people. Yeah.
But if the Fellini needs 3 people on a screenplay, who are you and who I am? Simple.
और ये भी याद रखना, अगर स्क्रीन पे अंडर द स्क्रीन प्ले you find one name, actually it was not his total contribution. There have been other people who have not been given credit to, or like friends or relatives or people who actually had read the script and given him feedback.
So I think we are done for today's session, and Ranjan, you can sign it off. It was really good for many of us, whosoever was serious here. And then we will see what can be done for the next week.
Yeah.
So we'll discuss among each other, and then we'll figure it out.
Yeah, sure.
So
Okay.
Sign it off. And the people who are here, they could just, I would say, mark the polling which I am launching here, which is more of your attendance, because that becomes a proof for me, whosoever attended. Otherwise, it's not so much of importance. But it just gives me an idea who are the people who are present here. So 11 people are here, fine. So great. So we'll see next week, and we will see how I would discuss with him, but probably I will prefer to pick up 1 or 2 images which were asked in the previous exam. So that way you will also have a little idea what you could have written and what could have been situation and thing like that. So I'll figure it out with Ranjan, and then probably we will declare what exactly we intend to do. So, and we will definitely take up all the questions which came in the past for sure, and some probable question which I am thinking that they could be asked into an examination like FTI, because that is whatever is being asked. That will not be repeated. Most of the time not be repeated unless it is repeated in a different words. That could also be the possibility, but we'll see that how we can inculcate those questions also. So thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.